Hey up! I'm Guy Kestivan, the Testy Man, and today I am on the Pinion gearbox on the Carbon Wasp bobtail with Adrian from Carbon Wasp. So it's a bike I've ridden a couple of times already, but I'm going to talk you through the various pros and cons of Pinion, and of course the ride of the bike itself. So hang on while we go hunting for that £100,000 belt drive purse prize for the fastest lap of Nid Gorge. So let's start with the bike itself. Carbon Wasp, Leeds based, handmade carbon fibre constructors, and this is their trail hardtail option, built around, like I say, that Pinion smart shift gearbox. 66 degree head angle, 76 seat. I think it's 130 mil travel on this at the moment, but it'll take 140 if you want. And I have to say, it's actually a really, I keep getting shift wrong on this gearbox. There we go. We'll talk about that in a minute, but it has got a saving grace on it for sure. But yeah, I have to say, third ride now, and the bike rides beautifully. Got a really nice, sort of damped, slightly compliant feel to that front end. So it really grips well, swoops well through turns, and comes down step sets like that in a more forgiving way than you might expect from an alloy bike. It's quite a steel feel, I'd say. Plus, because you've got a little bit of softness in the Gates belt drive, a little bit of take up in the Pinion, and it's got these 3D printed additive manufactured tie cranks. It's got a real sort of soft tail, almost O-chain vibe through the pedals as well. So, you know, it really is a bike that thrives in sort of that additional forgiveness, control and traction in areas where a hardtail might otherwise be giving you a very hard time. And obviously, go watch the Tech Talk video with Adrian for the full details on this hardtail frame. But this is the large with a 480mm reach. Comes with a lifetime warranty, repair or place. 4 different sizes, heads, and then whatever wrap you want. And complete with the Pinion. Can't remember the pricing off the top of my head, but remarkably reasonable for a handmade UK carbon hardtail. And obviously it coming with this Pinion as standard puts it in a very small range of options for that pretty much maintenance free transmission setup. Oh, got a bit boggy here. Let's go the tricky way. There we go, you see. That's the soft tail aspect. Working really well. Wiping my arse on a line I made a pig's ear of. Unfortunately, Adrian was right on my back wheel there, so he suffered as a result. Oh, thank you. Cheers. Hello, pup. Hello, don't worry.
Absolutely everything. I'll just keep a hold back.
Are you sure? She's welcome to come and say hello so she gets used to riders if she wants. You gonna come say hello?
No,
we're not sure, are we? She's just a good judge of character. Have a nice walk. And like I say, the actual balance and poise of this bike are really nice. I'm essentially riding it a lot harder than I typically would. Certainly its normal hardcore category of hardtail comes over as really stiff, quite bruising. Whereas this vibe's a lot more like my stiff squatch in terms of that more compliant ride feel. And then because you've got that adjustable dropout on the back, you can tweak around with things like rear chainstay length anyway. There's always the option to have different plates made for changing the angles and bottom bracket height, things like that. Plus you can have a 56 head tube in here for running an angle set. So while it's not full custom, it's very much customizable, I would say. So that's the fact that this is a really good, fun, hard trails hardtail sort of basically covered off. Let's start talking about Pinion. Oh, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Cheers. It's Auburn Spaniels Day today, isn't it? Right, so this is Pinion C-Line, 12 speed, 600% range, which means it's got a proper low crawler gear for moments like this, although not sure the rear tyre is going to play ball. Maybe it will. Come on. Oh no. Sorry, love. And the big difference now is that you've got an electric trigger shift rather than the twin cable twist grip. And it's actually still the same actuator, but it's powered by an electric servo now rather than you pulling cables backwards and forwards around the spool. And that was definitely the downside of the system. Oh, caught a tree. Before was the shifter, and it's a lot more responsive now. And of course, the other great thing is you can change it when you're not pedaling, because the rear wheel's revolving anyway. Or rather, it doesn't need the rear wheel. It doesn't need the get it right, Kez. It doesn't need the chain revolving to let you switch across the cassette, because it's all internal sun and planet cogs. But what? It's been a bit windy recently, some might say. I might be getting a bit windy myself in a moment. But anyway, at the moment, I've got it in the super smart shift mode, which you can access via the app. And that lets you, by using a sensor on the crank and a sensor on the rear wheel, and when you set the bike up, you program in wheel size and everything like that. And it can tell basically how fast you're spinning, what your cadence is, and you can pick your preferred cadence, and the Pinion will automatically gear match to keep you as close as you can to that number. So you can actually run the bike without a shifter at all if you want. And also that means if you do a stop and start, it immediately, well, near enough immediately, not instantly, sometimes give it a little bit of a lag, pick the right gear for you to set off in, or for the speed you've decelerated to in a corner, or accelerated up to on a descent. So you've got that predictive shift ability, which is lucky because I keep getting shifted the wrong way around. So I haven't programmed it properly yet. But again, that's something you can program in the Pinion app. The only thing I would say, do you hear that sort of chirruping noise then? It's not super keen on changing under even quite a moderate load. So if you're hustling and hassling it, you will find it's not going to change when you want it to. And then if you're not careful, you feed the shifts in, and when you come out the top, you find it's kind of dropped down 3 gears on you. But then it's something that you'll learn to work around fairly quickly, and you don't even need to have it on. You can just run it as a conventional shifter system. And what's interesting is how quickly I've kind of settled into the concept of just giving it that little half turn rest so it picks the right gear for me. And obviously can't do that all the time because you lose a bit of speed, but when you're bowling along, that sort of auto shift feels really good. And it's not just one gear, you know, it's the appropriate gear from that full 12 speed range. And it's even steps as well, all the way through. So there's not like bigger gaps at the end like you'll find on a conventional cassette. And again, just little hop sections like that. It's a relatively well loved DHR on the back of this bike, but it just feels like it's gripping really nicely. And of course, that Pinion has huge advantages in terms of not needing oiling or cleaning like a conventional chain. So you can literally just leave the bike filthy after rides. The only thing I know from... Oh, just wait for Adrian. Try Adrian, down here, mate. Getting so engrossed in the tech on this. Got to tell Adrian where we were going. So we got the gates cam on now, on the rear wheel. And I don't know, you probably can't quite hear it, but I can certainly just hear that rear hub. Sorry, that smart shift just changing all the time as I'm braking and then letting it roll. It's just constantly reassessing my speed and going, right, if he's going to be pedaling at 90 RPM, we need to be in this gear. So there we go, I'm not even thinking about it. Just coming in, dropping it, right. And there we go, see? Slowed right down there. Didn't touch the shifters at all. But I'm in a really small gear, ready to pedal out. And again, accelerate, coast, up it goes. Really, really smart. I can genuinely see if I had this for a while, I'd probably get rid of the shifter, just for cruising at least. Although it is useful, yeah, it's just old habits, isn't it? You just keep cranking away. So it is useful to have that manual override. And while it does feel a little softer, and again, I'm not sure whether that's the pinion itself, the crank, the belt or the frame, or so it's likely a combination of all four. There's none of the grind sensation that I used to really whinge about on old Pinions. Just feels like a really smooth application of power. And riding with my mates, well, kind of suffered a bit on short kick climbs on a maximum torque. Spinning, spooling stuff feels lovely and smooth, really nice and efficient. Cheers, mate. Oh, the haunted face of the half-term dog walker. And as much as, I know some people don't like electronics and automation. The weird thing is, in this case, it makes it a much simpler bike to ride. And it's almost got sort of single speed vibes, but with the correct gear rather than the incorrect gear, which is how you normally on a single speed. And that means you can concentrate on making the most of that geo and that extra frame grip and really getting your razz on this carbon wasp. And imagine this, you know, it'd be a real, I mean, it's great on this, but on a full suspension bike, those higher speeds and stuff, it's going to feel awesome too. Plus, in that situation, a much lighter rear wheel, so you've just got that big single alloy sprocket, not a massive block of gears. It's going to make the suspension feel way more sensitive. Because even as it is, the back end of this feels a lot more lighter. Well, it is lighter, a lot more hoppable and agile as a result. So while you are paying a bit of a weight penalty, even with these little tie cranks on, you know, which save probably upwards of 200 grams over the standard Pinion ones, it is still heavier than a, you know, top end group. But the win is, where it matters in terms of the bike dynamics, is actually a lot lighter. So for trialsy stuff like that, happy days. And while, and another thing, you know, there is a bit of lag compared to a super quick pick up hub, but it's not really that noticeable, to be honest. I thought it might be. It's often bitch about that on a conventional wheel, but I haven't really on this at all. It's just a really easy bike to just get on a ride and enjoy the fine things in life, like early spring sunshine by the river. And this is one of those classic sections where that, well, I'm hoping, we've not hit it yet, have we, but that Pinion will really get its game on, because there's a lot of different speed variables. There we go, downshift, braking, downshift again, speeds up, upshift, into the trickly corner, foot off, round, accelerate, decelerate. I mean, all of this, the only levers I'm worrying about in my handlebar and the brake levers. Oh, hello. And that tree that's down. Welcome to single track in Britain 2025, people. Makes note to come back with mates and ropes and saws. Clear that other bit. I hope you're all out there doing your bit, and it's not North Carolina like Brian was talking to you from Cane Creek at the call show, but it's a fair bit of damage out there. It'd be great if everyone could get involved with clearing. Anyway, enough parable from the case pulpit. Drop down to the riverside, there we go. Perfect gear. My preferred Lance Armstrong approved 90 RPM cadence. Duck under there. There we go, change again. I mean, occasionally it's a little bit out of sync, like I say. But overall, pretty damn good. Certainly enough to make it a potential bonus. As much for people who are like starting out and like needing to concentrate fully on the terrain, or it's actually vibe anyway. Then you've got that once a year oil change on the gearbox. Oh, after you. Are we okay coming past? Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Cheers. I know. Well, hopefully we're not causing too much upset and offence. Can't please all the people all the time. I don't think she was upset by the gearbox though. On the other thing, big thing, especially with derailleurs costing hundreds, in some cases heading towards £1,000 now, not having a derailleur to wipe off on a trail side stick or stump removes a lot of stress from your pick and mix technical riding, or just crashing, transporting, all that stuff. Now forget the universal derailleur hanger, let's have no derailleur hanger at all. But that's not to say, you know, the Gates drive isn't utterly invulnerable. I've had a mate who had one for a while and eventually got rid because he never quite got the band tension or reliability right, but by all accounts, if you do get it right, then happy days. But the last steep climb, I was really thinking about it, and definitely it's not just a softness in the drive, it's actually a spring. As you ease off, you can kind of feel it springing on a little bit. So I think it really is stretch and then release in the drive band. So it's not power you're losing, it's almost like power you're delaying and deferring. That also reduces the peak loading on the tyre, so which is why you're getting that better traction. And it's certainly no obstacle to getting up the steep stuff. And while there is a little bit more resistance in the really low gears, if I was on a standard cassette, the chain angle would mean I was losing a fair amount of watts from cross drag anyway. So while, you know, I've not done any scientific testing yet with power pedals, I'm pretty fussy about making the most of my limited wattage, and I'm happy riding this. Right, so in case you hadn't guessed, I actually ran out of battery for the end of that one, which is why you're getting extended cuts from the axle and crank cam there. But what I would say in summary, this bike, frame, I think is absolutely excellent, you know, really composed, really, you know, that high traction with that pinion drive and that Gates drive, really fluid. It does feel like a soft tail, and it's quite, you know, when you're off road in terms of smoothness, it's quite a shock when you get back onto the road. And you suddenly go, actually no, this is quite a you know, a hard, efficient hardtail again. So really, really interesting. I think the Geo's great. I think all the features are great. So I think Carbon Wasp have done an absolutely outstanding job with this bike, and definitely, you know, worth putting that on your shortlist for an all-round aggro hardtail, especially if you're into the gearbox. And I would say this bike has definitely taken me from a nah, thanks, you're all right, I'll leave it for a bit on Pinion, certainly with that twist grip. Wasn't really convinced, was a bit arthritic for me. With the belt drive, with the electric shift, whether you go auto shift or not, it's definitely something I genuinely consider now. Maybe not for, you know, hard, punchy, aggressive riding yet, just because that upshift is a little bit compromised under power, but for cruising, for bike packing, for long distance, or just for kind of stress-free, just flow riding and more descending stuff, I think, you know, it has real definite advantages over a conventional drive chain, especially when you factor in that transmission reliability in terms of, you know, the gearbox and not having a rear mech to knock off. So, been a fascinating one to ride this, and obviously I'm expecting a whole bunch of questions, so get busy in the comments if you do have any. If I haven't got the answers, then I'll forward them on to Adrian at Carbon Wasp. Obviously you can get in touch with him direct, hopefully a lot of you will do, asking for your own hardtail to build up, because it's, like I say, genuinely a really good option now, this bike with that Pinion gearbox on. Not just for a novelty value, but as a proper performance hardtail that offers many unique things, whether that's the custom fit
fitments, your own finish on it, or just, that proper handmade involvement for a remarkably reasonable price. So, like I say, get busy in the comments, like, subscribe, click for notifications. If you like what I'm doing, throw me a few quid on Patreon to support the channel. And if you like what Adrian's doing, then get yourself a carbon wasp ordered. And if you want a full suspension bike, then make sure you check out the rather spectacular Case TV custom wrap Truffle 120 reveal that will be coming up very shortly from me and Carbon Wasp and Adrian. So, thanks for your time. Hope you found this one interesting.